I love terror. I love ghost stories. I believe in the paranormal since little. I was able to see things that shouldn't be there. My grandma says that is because our family's past. Like I mentioned on my video of my family's origins, my grandma was a priestess back in Japan, so she has always managed to and live in many of the things of the unseen. My mother told me that when she was younger, she always felt like inanimate objects and animals spoke to her, like trees, plants, flowers, and sometimes vegetables, cats, dogs, and bugs. Grandma told me that these talents have existed in our family throughout the generations. For her, my grandma, her talent was to feel and see the spirits of the deceased, communicate and help them out like a medium that you would. She was always been sensitive to those things. She told me that those talents were inherited by my great grandfather that got cursed by a witch a long time ago. The short story is that in a small village back in Japan, a witch that lived in the forest fell in love with my great grandfather, and her love was never responded by him. Instead, he fell in love with my great grandmother, so this witch cursed him, making him a magnet of paranormal activity and strange anomaly encounters, and those talents have spread to my family over generations. When I was little, I could see things that are not supposed to be there. Not clearly, but shadows. Most of my life, I have seen shadows, and I have experienced poltergeist activity in some of the houses that I lived in, sleep paralysis, and some other stuff. But today, we are focusing on a particular place and time. It happened almost 15 years ago. I was on my late teens. Back in the day, I was attending high school in downtown of my city. My usual routine was attending school in the morning. On those days, I was already a volunteer in the fire department of my city, so every day my shift was on watch. As soon as I got out of school, I was to attend my regular service to do merit in a place in the fire department. That day was going normal as usual, like any other. School had already finished, and instead of getting out with friends like a regular teenager, I was to attend my duties as a volunteer like any regular day. My friends already knew that every 2 days I was not going to be available because I like to attend a full 24-hour shift since the beginning of my career. I walked out of school, went for something to eat at a local restaurant, and head out for the fire station located on a street downtown. I walked through the streets one by one as always. 2 o'clock on my watch. There was no hurry. I could arrive at any moment as a volunteer. There was no rush to arrive late or not even to arrive at all. There was no pay, no benefits, just wanting to earn my place. When I arrived at 8th Street, I noticed that the station was locked. Locked because that meant the crew was out on a call. So I waited on a park bench nearby. I sat down, ate my lunch. The station, the highest building on 8th Street alongside the police station, built in 1958 to serve its community, had a long history, and it was rumored to house underground cells where nobody knew what really happened. Even among police service members, it was rumored to have a long and dark history, but it was one that was erased from the logbooks and records in the city's history. So I waited and had my lunch. 4 p.m. was on the clock. I was starting to feel tired of just being there and decided to go in front of the station where an ice cream shop was. The owner knew the crew members of the crew and got a great relationship with them, so spare keys were available to them. I asked for the keys so I could go in. The station was a two-story building. At the entrance was the garage floor and a radio room. The first floor had a living room and lockers alongside the kitchen and an indoor basketball court. The second floor had the dorms and a bathroom. That day the station was empty. Only one engine in the garage room at the end of the parking lot. So I gave back the keys just across the street, and inside I stayed. Since there was nothing much to do, I changed into my uniform and started to do my homework. There was internet and cable, so I was watching some Cartoon Network while doing my homework. Everything went smoothly. The only sound I could hear was the sound of the radios, just listening to other stations going outside, and then it was just me with nothing to do. I already had done my homework, so I went into one of those mini game websites that I bet also you have tried at least once, just to kill some time. 8 p.m. came around, and that is when things started to get creepy. I thought that turning all of the lights of the station would have brought me some good night's sleep. There was a call on the radio for my station to attend a factory fire, so I knew it was going to be alone. I was going to be alone for most of the night, so I did the unthinkable and turned everything off but the radio and TV and in the living room. That night, I decided to sleep on the couch just to be ready in case something came up and be ready to answer the radio if anything happened. In my head, ghost stories never crossed my mind that night, but suddenly the atmosphere started to change quickly. I felt like someone or something was watching me from the dark. Fear started to immobilize me, so I stayed quiet and waited to see what happened. I can remember what show was on TV. That was the last of my concerns because after a couple of minutes, I could hear like someone was bouncing a basketball at the court that was just a couple of steps near where I was. So then I remember all of the ghost stories that the crew told me before on those gatherings we had. In the middle of the night, you could hear like if someone was playing basketball, but no one was there. So I gathered some courage and stepped out of the couch just to go and see what was happening. Um, to the court I went, and I could only see in an empty place, and the moonlight coming through the windows, illuminating the wooden floor. And when I realized, I turned my head to my right just to see two basketballs, and one of them gently moving on its own, rolling to the edge of the court like some small current of wind was pushing it, but the windows were closed at night. Feeling goosebumps on my neck and walking at a fast pace, I went to where the master switch of the lights of the station were. And before I could get there, I stopped frozen on my feet just to listen to some heavy footsteps, like someone wearing station boots ran across the floor above me in direction of the bathroom. I couldn't tell if I was dreaming, and at the time I wish I was. But this was real life paranormal activity. Before I could even continue my way to the master switch, I needed to go downstairs to the garage room where the on-duty fire watch post was, and there was the master switch. The problem was that the stairs were in complete darkness. I could see the door at the end of the passage, but I felt like something dark was waiting for me downstairs. I could feel it for sure because the goosebumps started to become more violent. Before I could even make my decision to go downstairs, I suddenly began to hear how those same footsteps I heard moments before came back and began to descend from the second to the first floor where I was. The stairs from the second to the first floor were metal, so the footsteps were heard clearly. One by one, the steps began to descend. I didn't hesitate and went down the stairs to what I felt like it was like an eternity, step by step going down until I reached the door and into the fire room. sorry, into the firewatch room. I quickly pressed the the master switch, and all the lights went on immediately. No footsteps were heard after that. No one was playing at the basketball court. I was sweating heavily. I remember looking at the door on the first floor, and it felt like something was there just standing at the door frame. I remember wearing some navy blue gym shorts, and I was going to use that night to sleep. I didn't want to go up anymore. To my luck, on the radio, I could hear that my unit was on its way back, so I wasn't going to be alone that much. So, despite me wearing shorts and probably getting scolded by the captain because that is no regulated dress code, I decided to go to a 7-Eleven store just around the corner for some coffee and a pack of cigarettes just to calm down my nerves. When I got back to the station, I just stood there at the entrance without the intention of going back in alone. By the time that the engine arrived, it was around 2 a.m. The captain got off the unit and asked me if there was anything wrong, so I told him what had happened. I told him everything. He looked at me and just nodded at me like he was aware of the strange anomalies that happened there. That night, he assigned me to an agent, and so I began my late night normal shift with the boys. We were outside of the station cleaning and getting everything ready for the next deployment. While we talked about my experience that night, we had dinner together and went all together inside the station. No one, no one went to the toilet alone that night. No one. After hearing my story, and everyone believed me because anyone who has served in that station, believe in the paranormal or not, believe in the paranormal or not, sorry, has gone through something of some sort. The rest of the night was a calm night. When morning came, we performed our usual duties and morning routine. Everyone went back to their home. It was the weekend, so I went home and spent the rest of the day just trying not to think of what happened that night. At the time of making this video, the station no longer exists. In this place now there's a park where park keepers say strange things happen at night, so no one wants to stay, and now I know why. Some things are better left undisturbed. Who knows what kind of things happened there in the past, and we might never know. Perhaps there's a dark story happening there, but just remember just not to turn off all of the lights at night. You don't know what it may be lurking in the shadows. And that was my experience at station number one back in the day. Like I said before, I believe in the paranormal, but that day, without even thinking about things started to happen to me. It is a real story, by the way, believe it or not. You be the judge. I hope that you enjoyed that spooky story, and I would like to bring you more like this one, or even bring you scary stories of my own crap. But for this one, I'm going to leave it as a personal story time. My name is Jaco, and I hope you have a good night.